Today on All Out Brick, we're going to be taking a look at Bionicle set 8538, Muaka and Kanera. We're going to build them, review them, and then give out a score. Let's get started. Hey everyone, I'm Christian from All Out Brick. If you're a first-time viewer, welcome to our channel, and if you've seen us before, welcome back. Today we're going to be taking an in-depth look and review at Bionicle set 8538, Muaka and Kanera. These Rahi were released as a part of the first Bionicle wave way back in 2001, and were the largest set in the wave in terms of piece count. The two look very similar and are obviously included in the same set, but they actually have distinct lore from one another. Muaka, the yellow one, is a tiger-like Rahi. Not much is known about them by the Matoran, since the Muwaka tended to have an immunity to stasis and were not able to be moved into the archives. That being said, they were certainly seen in action in areas such as Kauai and the jungles of Motunui. Moving on to Kanera, the red one, Kanera is a buffalo-like Rahi. Surprisingly, at least to me, Kanera are herbivores native to the regions of Pauahi and Kauai. I imagine it's pretty tough to find some plants to eat in those regions. Perhaps they should undergo a change of diet and start snacking on some Matoran. Taking a look at the packaging, the front of the box shows the same Pokoro, Pauahi region with the Muaka and Kanera highlighted on the front. This set is for ages 9+, contains 647 pieces, and therefore makes it the largest piece count set of this first wave of Bionicle from 2001. We have the Bionicle logo in the top left corner. In the top right corner, it actually highlights a mask exclusive to this set. It's an infected How mask, and you can see it's also on Muwaka on the front right there. It's pretty easy to see right there. And we have the Lego Technic logo in the bottom right corner and 8538, the set number, in the bottom left corner. The graphic continues on to the side of the box where we can see Tahu trying to fend off the Muwaka. It's got its mouth open and it looks like it's performing the play function there. Its neck is completely stretched out and Tahu is just standing there. I mean, you might want to swing your sword, buddy. The back of the box has this Lego Just Imagine look. I think this is identical to the Terracotta back of the box, just with different model pictures inserted. We got the two play functions. In the top right corner, we see close-ups of the Muwaka performing the play functions. And then we have the combination model in the bottom center, along with a larger view of the Bionicle.com from 2001, Motunui Online Game 1, Pohatu, and the Motunui Island overview. Look at the different regions. In the bottom left, we see that the Muaka and Kanera are fighting each other. And it kind of shows the Muaka pulling out one of the masks from the Kanera, which I guess knocks his arm off. The top of the box has 3 more images of the Muaka and Kanera, one of each of the models, and then one of them going head to head in a battle is what it looks like. The side of the box has the same image zoomed in as the front of the box, much like all of the other Rahi from 2001. And the bottom of the box has a barcode and some legal stuff, nothing too crazy. Inside, we receive a total of 4 bags, 2 for each of the Rahi included in this set. There are also some unbagged parts, such as the treads, along with the instructions and advertisement material. The instructions for Kanera are the thicker ones for this set, and therefore they include the instructions for the combination model. There's quite a lot of pieces to this set, so let's waste no time at all and kick things off with the base model builds. Here we go. Okay, so I just wrapped up the Muwaka and Kanera builds. In total, it took 1 hour and 20 minutes, about 43 minutes for the first one and 37 minutes for the second one. The reason why I took a little faster for the second one is that they're pretty much identical. I'll talk more about this really soon, are they identical builds or not? So it did fly by for the second one because a lot of the stuff, right, like I already knew what I was doing and everything. So it went a little bit faster, hence the 6 minutes faster, but 1 hour and 20 minutes total. As for what I think about these base models, I really like them. They're 100% my favorite Rahi so far. I would say it's kind of not close to Terracotta. I did really enjoy the base models, but these I think take things to another level and really show you the potential of Bionicle. And in 2001, I can only imagine how awesome it was to get your hands on something like this. What the main feature is something that I really enjoy, is the ability to make the beasts chomp down with their mouths and attack with their mouths. Obviously they're tigers or bulls, so their claws are really useful, but their ability to chomp with their mouth is what's gonna do some extra damage to Toa or Matoran. And the way that this works is the back and like the body of the model essentially is an enormous grip for your hand, and when you press it down, it launches forwards and the mouth actually opens up as it goes forwards and then closes at the very end of its movement. It's a really amazing feat that they were able to do something like this, and there's like a gear and one other piece that allows it to where the mouth opens up as it's going forward and then chomps down at the very end. I cannot stress how much I like that enough, is how they managed to do that. Obviously they could have made it so that the mouth opened and closed, but they got it to, like, the combination of going forwards and opening and then coming back closed. I gotta hand it to them. That is unbelievable. This immediately to me makes them a threat to the Toa. With the other Rahi, you're like, yeah, the Nui Ram and the Nui Jaga could do some damage if the, you know, and the Terakava could punch everything. But these immediately hit me as like, yeah, that's gonna be a problem for them. They're huge, obviously they're huge, and the detail really does a great job of bringing out the facial features, you know, the ears, the eyes being those little tubes. Great choice. The different color, amazing choice. Speaking of the color scheme, these are different colors that we haven't seen yet so far in terms of the Rahi, and I think that trend continues on and on, is that each Rahi has different color schemes, not any of them are the same. But so this continues that, and I really like the red and the yellow. The red, obviously, that really helps. I think it's ironic that the bull has red because, you know, bulls don't like red. And then the tiger with yellow, great color choices. They complement each other very well. And then they have the same gray and black pieces throughout. And then they have like the silver. I don't know what they are. They're like, I guess, guards around their eyes, maybe, something like that. So the color scheme, great job. I also want to point out the fact that with the Nui Jaga, if you remember that review, I talked about how I wish the masks were different. They obviously knew what they were doing because these masks are different. And on top of that, we get an exclusive infected mask with the Muwaka model. This is awesome. The infected, I don't know how many infected masks they really released, and I know for sure that this is the only one in 2001. So to include it with this set, it looks really great. It's like got this rust coming down it, and it really gives off the infected vibe to it. And then with Kanera, they're kind of just standard black masks. I'm not going to complain about those not being infected because I'm sure this mold and print was probably a little bit more expensive, so they didn't want to do it for both. But they did include separate masks for both. They easily could have said, hey, you know what, we're going to choose 4 infected hound masks and put them on both, or we're going to choose 4 of these black masks and put them on both. They didn't. I really enjoy that. So thank you, LEGO, for doing that and giving us this infected mask. These are really great base models, and there are, I think, maybe just like a tiny bit of things that I wish were different. One of them is the fact that they are basically identical, not just in the way, obviously they're going to be close to identical in the way they're built. They're just, you know, but the colors throughout, like maybe if they inverted like which pieces were black and which pieces were gray on one model or another, it would have given it a very different look. And I feel like that would have helped a little bit. You know, when you're building throughout, it's not super stale. With some models, when they're exactly the same, you're like, geez, like I gotta do this again. But this actually flew by when I was building it. The build wasn't very tedious. It was a very enjoyable build. You can see how everything comes together. The neck part is a little bit difficult. So if ages 9+, the lower end of that is probably gonna have a little bit of a tougher time. And you know, the instructions, they're older, so they don't do the best job of showing everything as clearly as possible, but the build does fly by, and I really enjoyed the build. It did not feel like 40-minute builds for each of them. It felt more like a 20-minute build for each of them, so that just goes to show you how much I enjoyed that. Another small thing that I didn't like with this model is that there are 2 1x2 yellow tiles with a black arrow on each of the model. I think I tried to figure out what they are. I think it shows you where to insert the like the rods that have the masks attached to them, so that people know that's what keeps the arms in. That's how everything works properly. So maybe that shows where to put those, but I just don't understand why they had to have the arrows on them and everything, and it just takes away a little bit from the beasts themselves and like the lore of them themselves. Like, you know, Or at least give Kanera red ones. Like, why do they both have yellow? That didn't make sense to me. And now that I really do think about it, I'm like 99% sure it's just to show little kids where to stick the rods with the masks on them. But you know, why can't they figure it out for themselves? I'm just kidding. It's not that big of a deal, but it's just a small thing. Another thing I don't quite understand, I guess, it's not a problem with the model. It's more of a problem with the lore with the model. When the arms fall out, so the big play feature is they can attack each other. And when you pull the masks out, the arms fall out. And after the arms fall out, what does that mean? I mean, obviously they don't have the infected Kanohi on them anymore. So I guess they would behave like regular Rahi. But I imagine having your arms ripped off is pretty excruciating pain. And they can still chomp after that. Like, their mouths still can perform that function. So I don't know. I don't quite understand that. I guess if you just knock their masks off, this problem is completely eliminated. And that's probably how the Toa go about it. I'm sure that Toa aren't ripping them out. And then when the Matoran or Tonga are throwing discs at them, they're just knocking the masks off. So I guess that's only a problem when they're attacking each other. But still, their arms fall off and then what? I just had a question about that. It's not like a huge problem with the model. Muaka and Kanera include instructions for a combination model called the Kumanui. The Kumanui is this rat-like Rahi that Kokoro would actually have like little patrol squadrons go around to make sure that the Kumanui couldn't get near Matoran villages. As I stated before, the instructions for the Kumanui are included in the Kanera instruction booklet. So what I'm going to do is break down these base models, take them apart, and then we'll get right into building the Kumanui. As you can see, I just wrapped up the Kumanui build. In total, it took me literally just under 1 hour. It was like 59 minutes and 30 seconds. And the result is something that I really enjoy. It definitely looks like the Ra Bionicle. I mean, look at this thing. It's humongous. It doesn't feel like, at first while you're building it, it doesn't feel like it's that much bigger than the Muwaka or Kanera. But when you finish it, it's obviously got 2 treads at the bottom, which act as the feet. And these shoulders are enormous. Like, this dude does not skip shoulder day. His arms are humongous. Like, I can't even imagine being like a Matoran, like a tiny little Matoran, and like sitting here and seeing like something as big as like the Hulk or Thanos, like just rolling up to you, like with these enormous claws, like teeth. It's definitely got that fear factor, menacing look to it. I think it's a great design. It is. I feel like, you know, we had some models, like with the Nui Jaga, the combination build was completely different, and the Terakava was kind of different and didn't like it. This is like a mishmash of those two emotions. Like, it feels kind of different, but I really like the result. You know, the handle is definitely thicker, which supports all of the added weight. Like, there's a lot of weight coming up here with the head. The neck is also longer. And that, I think, is a small improvement that they didn't have to do, but is really good for a model of this scale. Of course, it's a little bit taller. You know, you want that neck to really stretch out, which, of course, in this case, it does. Like I said before, the shoulders are enormous. They're very thick. I like how the arms are placed on top. You know, with the base models, we had them underneath of what kind of was like the handle, or like coming out from the middle. These are definitely on top, and it doesn't give it like a completely like hunched over look, but it does kind of give the Kumanui a kind of like just a bulky look. Like this thing is muscular in robotic fashion, I guess the way to put it is. Something else I liked about this model follows the same pattern as like combination models, including something that like, why didn't they include this in the base models? You know, I said this with the Toa Kaita. I was like, why didn't they choose to use the articulating head in the base Toa models if they did it for the combination? Something very similar here. The arms don't fall out when these mask rods are pulled out. The arms still stay there. So that makes me just wonder, like, why for the base models did they make it so the arms could fall out? And then for this model, the arms don't fall out. Is it because these are slightly harder to attach than the regular? I don't know. But that to me is something that I wish was translated over into the Muaka and Kanera, that the arms just didn't fall out. Like, you know, I get the point. You know, you lost. It's defeated. The masks came. Like, I don't need the arms to fall out. So I wish that was different with the base models. However, they did improve upon it on the final like combination model, so I gotta give credit there. There are some things that I wish were a little bit different about the Kumanui though. Number one, starting with the tail. I understand this thing is supposed to be like a rat Rahi and everything, but look at the size of this tail. It's humongous. It might be 2 times, all right, that might be stretching it. It's probably like 1.5 times as large or as long as this main portion of the combination model. So I just, why is the tail so long? I feel like it would look great if it was 3. Probably not 2. 2 might be a little short. Rats do have humongous tails. But 4, it's just so long that it gets in the way a little bit, especially while you're trying to build it. You have this huge tail line across your entire table. And then I feel like 3 would be okay. But so the tail is a little bit long, but it does give it that rat look. So, you know, another thing that just comes with the fact that this model is so tall is that it attacks pretty high up in terms of, you know, its mouth opening. That's a pretty high attack. It's definitely way above the heads of any Toa. It's probably just about right. Maybe a little bit low for the Toa Kaita. It's probably perfect for attacking the Toa Kaita, which makes sense. You know, this is the beefed up Muaka Kane-Ra. Yeah, it's probably going to attack that. So that makes sense to me. The only way to go around this, like say you did want this to attack a regular Toa or even a Matoran, you just tilt it up. These little treads are what move it back and forth. And so you just tilt it up, and then when you pull the lever, it attacks down lower. That's the way to get around that. Really not that big of a deal. I just wish that the head attacked straight out instead of like that, if that makes sense. The only thing that really bothered me with this model is the fact that the head is the exact same as Muwaka's. Like, I mean exact, step by step. That just doesn't make sense to me. You know, everything else is so much bigger with this model. Why wouldn't you take some of the pieces? And it didn't even use all the pieces. I think it probably only used like 1/2 to 2/3, which is typically what we see anyways. 1/2 to 2/3 of the pieces total. Why wouldn't you take some of those pieces and make, I don't know, maybe a wider head or just a bigger head, a little bit longer, more teeth, something? Why is it exactly the same as Muwaka's? If I knew that, I just wouldn't have taken it apart when I took the base models apart. So I wish that was different. You know, that feels like something that was almost like, hey, this head works with the mechanism, and I get that the mechanism needs to work properly and everything like that. But that doesn't mean that the front of the head can't look a little bit different, if you know what I mean. This does look exactly like a rat head, though. You know, we see it with Muwaka, the ears make it look like a tiger, and in Kanera, the ears make it look like a bull, but they're the same kind of style of head. This, though, wish changed up a little bit. Maybe if they use red eyes instead of the yellow eyes, that would have looked pretty cool. I might have to check that out after I finish filming this review. Maybe I'll throw some red eyes on it and see if it looks a little bit better or not. Overall, what I think of this set, I think that it's a really great set. It's probably number 1 or number 2 in terms of the Bionicle sets that I've done so far revisiting the theme. I like it that much. It's amazing. The function is not mind-blowing, you know, it's a really great function. I'm sure like a little kid building it, they're probably like, what, like going nuts, but it is a great function, the way that the mouth opens up, and it's blatantly an enemy to the Toa and the Matoran, Tahunga, whatever you want to call them. It's definitely an enemy to them when they have the infected masks. It includes an exclusive infected mask. You're not getting that in any other set that I know of, especially from 2001. It's just an exclusive infected mask. That is awesome for this set. The piece count is really high. It's the biggest one from 2001, and if if you look into it, it's probably one of the biggest Bionicle sets releases in terms of piece count. I think it's definitely way up there. There might be a couple that were released way down the line that include a lot more smaller pieces, but for the time, over 600 pieces for the Bionicle set, you know, that's crazy. The Toa are only like 30 pieces each. So this is absolutely one of my favorite Bionicle sets that I've done so far, and I really enjoy the combination model. All in all, everything's good about the set. There's a couple small things that I didn't like, and obviously it could have been changed a little bit, but for what we got, I think fantastic set. If you're able to get your hands on this set, I'll get into the prices very shortly, but if you're able to get your hands on this set, don't look back. This is a great one. You know, maybe if you want to get Matoran or Toa first, that would probably be a better idea, because like you don't want just this is your only Bionicle. But if you can get your hands on this set, just do it, man. Just do it. It's fantastic. And hey, if you could get your hands on 2, could you imagine this and a Muwaka and Kanera? Like, just imagine like a single Matoran just walking up and seeing this, and then out come a Muwaka and Kanera. I mean, He's dead. An entire legion of them are dead. In Montanui Online Game 1, where you collect all the heroes, yeah, that squadron is not taking out this. And anyways, so as for the prices for this set, used now, it's going to cost $80, which is, I believe, what it released for. I have to double check that, but I believe that release point was $80. Right now, used, this set goes for $80, which isn't terrible considering we've seen other sets go for way more than their release point used. However, if you're going to try to get this set new, it better be for a really good reason, because it's going to cost you over $200 to get this set brand new, sealed in today's market, and that's only going to keep going up. So just go used with this set. If you can get it for around the price of release, great. You know, what's the worst case scenario? The rubber bands are a little bit stretched out. Not that big of a deal. As for a score for this set, Muaka and Kanera, I'm going to go 8.5. That puts it, I think, number 2 on my all-time Bionicle list so far, behind only the Tahunga, which, yeah, I can be a little biased to the Tahunga, but you know what? Those are great sets. That's still a monster score for this set, 8.5. It's amazing. I did not get bored with it at all. I really enjoyed every aspect of the build, and the finished products, what you get out of it, unbelievable stuff. So 8.5, that's your review. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to give us a nice thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel to be the first to see all of our future content. Also be sure to check us out on our website and on our Facebook and Instagram pages. Until next time, stay bricking.